I would say that the biggest misconception is that growth is more important than profitability. And there's a couple of versions of this. One version is for the more successful staffing companies where they started doing so great right out of the bat. And then over the last several years, they've continued to grow top line and they're feeling like things are going so well. But actually, that last several $1 million or extra $5 million or 10 or $20 million of incremental revenue that they've had in the last few years is actually pretty margin neutral or at a very low margin percentage. In many cases, when I've talked to those CEOs, they're still basically trading on that great first tier of margin that they created, which was mostly a function of them being a superstar when they got the business off the ground, acquiring a lot of clients at good margin, and then they've stacked on often a fair amount of fairly moderate margin business and a whole bunch of overhead at the same time. So they're kind of resting on their laurels a little bit, and in many cases they have folded in the salary of the CEO and the top partners into what they consider profitability, making the net bottom line as a percentage of top line look pretty sexy. But if you were to take out what their salary actually should be, all of a sudden those double-digit numbers start turning into single-digit numbers, and the profitability is kind of well below the top quartile performers in the industry. Kind of a second cut at that is for the smaller agencies that haven't yet broken through. They're so focused on growth, they're not aware that there is a slimmer, skinnier, profitable version of their business cloaked in a fair amount of overhead that they've added as they've tried to grow. And by figuring out what areas to cut, whether it's the wrong customers, the wrong suppliers, the wrong team members, or the wrong service lines, they could really take that, let's say, $2 or $3 million business, back off maybe 20% of the worst part of their company, and have a much more profitable business that would be a really impressive springboard into accelerated growth with accelerated profitability.